Welcome to this special edition of the Bear Down podcast. Today we're going to learn about triathlon. It's the newest sport on the University of Arizona campus, the 22nd sport now sponsored by the athletic department. We're pleased to have with us Wes Johnson. He's the head coach, and Kelly Lynn Wentland, one of their star athletes. And welcome to both of you. And Wes, let's start out. For those who don't know, and I'm one of them, tell us about triathlon. What is the sport?
So triathlon is a lot of people think it's like Ironman. That's all they think about, right? It's like, oh, is it the Hawaii Ironman? It's very different than that. It is still swim, bike, run, which the Ironman is, but it's very short, much shorter distances, and it's following the model of the Olympics, which is draft legal triathlon. So the difference of like Ironman and other disciplines, a lot amateur triathlon, is where they don't allow drafting on the bike. So it changes the sport quite a bit when they add drafting on the bike. So the swimming, it's open water swimming, so we're allowed to draft. So there's a lot of tactics, a lot of skill, which she's been learning, because she comes from a swim background. So now they're learning how to swim fast and tactical in open water, drafting behind other people. They get out of the water and it's a fast transition to get on your bike and get in a bike pack. So the swim is crucial to be a fast swimmer, and getting in the front bike pack is the ideal situation where they're striving for. And then, they're on these technical bike courses, lots of turns, lots of downhill, uphill, so there's a lot of skill involved with that. And then, since they're getting a lot of them off together on a bike pack, it comes down to the run. So it's always one in the run, but it's lost in the swim or the bike. It can be lost in the swim or bike. It's never really won in the swim or the bike, but it's where it's lost. So it's all just kind of a positioning game on the swim and bike to set you up for the run.
All right. So are there points accumulated, or does it come down to whoever crosses the line first on the run?
It just crosses the line, yeah, first on the run.
All right. Well, now your background was swimming and diving as a student athlete.
I was, yeah.
Okay, so what got you interested then in evolving into triathlon?
Yeah, so I was a swimmer in college, and then after college, I got into like racing triathlon, had desires to race at the elite professional level, and just being a swimmer my whole life, I didn't do enough impact sports. I had a lot of injuries, stress fractures, low bone density, and so I got into coaching really early, and at first a lot of triathletes are reaching out wanting help on their swim, because I was coaching swimming. And so I started working with a lot of triathletes, and then I just kind of went full into coaching triathlon, learning everything I could about cycling, running, getting certified with the governing body of the sport, USA Triathlon, and really just never looked back. I started working a lot with youth athletes and junior athletes and athletes of all ages and abilities, and then just kind of fell into the elite side of the sport, and just never really looked back, and here I am now. So,
Kelly, you're a three-sport athlete now, which is extremely rare. So let's take us through your athletic beginnings. When you arrived at Arizona, what did you initially come to the U of A for?
I was originally recruited to swim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what evolved after that?
I don't know. I ran cross country and track in high school, and I was really missing it my first year, and so I really felt like I had more to give. So then I heard that they were announcing like a triathlon program. I'd never done a triathlon before, but I approached Wes and I was like, "Hi, I'm Kelly. I can swim all right, and I can run pretty fast. There's something's chasing me." Just kidding. But and then he was like, "Yeah, no, you have all the right stuff to get started, and as long as you have a good attitude."
Sure.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned to him, how about the bike part of it? Was that something that I don't want to say learn, because everybody kind of learns to ride a bike, but there's a challenging part of that.
Oh yeah. The most I'd ridden a bike before I joined triathlon was probably just around my neighborhood as a kid. So I'm definitely still learning, and especially with draft legal racing, there is a lot of tactical and skill-based type learning that needs to go on. So yeah, definitely my team and Wes have been instrumental in helping me figure that out.
Okay. Do you train now? Is it equal parts into thirds, swimming, running, riding, or how do you continue to train?
Yeah, honestly, it's individualized, I would say. We do a lot as a team, but at some point, like Wes kind of like looks at it and kind of portions it out based on what we need and what's best for our, physical, mental kind of training.
Sure. Yeah. Wes, what kind of athlete do you look for when you're recruiting for triathlon?
Yeah, we're definitely looking for the swim runners, like, which is pretty much what she was. The swimmers, they have such strong engines, and they're used to training like a lot growing up, and so adding, usually swimmers become incredible cyclists. They don't always become incredible runners. So someone that grew up swimming and running, that's kind of the ideal scenario, because we can teach almost anyone to ride a bike. And, especially athletes that already have these strong engines coming from swimming and running, they have the engines to ride the bike. They just need to learn the skill. And you usually always learn it in a short amount of time, because they're already athletic athletes. If there's good swimmers and runners, they've got a lot of athletic abilities, where sometimes just the swimmers or just the runners can't always pick up that other discipline. But, for the most part, most of the athletes we're recruiting have been doing this a lot of their whole life. And that's why we recruit a lot internationally as well, because the sport is a lot bigger outside of the U.S. Even though triathlon started in the U.S., it is much, much bigger sport in Europe. It is like a mainstream sport. I was just at the World Championships for juniors in Hamburg, and there's 500,000 spectators on the roads. So it's just like mainstream, and everybody knows it. Cycling and triathlon. So we're recruiting athletes from Europe because they've been doing this their whole life. This is like second nature. USA Triathlon has had good success recruiting athletes out of NCAA and teaching them to ride a bike, and that was actually our gold medalist from Rio Olympics came from just NCAA. So we have proven that we can find these unique athletes, and I think Kelly's one of them that has the talent to be potentially an Olympian. And it's where we find these athletes like a lot of times in NCAA, because they didn't even know about triathlon when they were younger. There wasn't a triathlon team in their city, or they weren't aware of it. So it's, we want to find those athletes that have been doing it their whole life, but sometimes we find athletes with even more potential that, have really excelled in single sports or one or maybe two of the three disciplines. And they have so much more potential, more room to grow, because, they haven't been doing it. They haven't been overtraining for so many years, where a lot of times the athletes are, that we're bringing here. We want to bring an Olympic program, develop an Olympic program for the Olympic Games out of the U of A. And, sometimes we get these athletes that grew up doing it and almost like train too much as like full on adults when they're 14 or 15 years old. And their just potential to grow is limited, And so we get these athletes that are just so hungry, like Kelly, are just like, they have so much more to give, like she said, and when she was just swimming, so much more to give. And that's what we found, like with her and several other athletes as well, finding them at the right time. Triathlon is just really unique, It's not, with other sports like swimming, you look at their times and go everything based off times, but we're looking for so much more than that, and seeing where these athletes can get to in the next several years.
Okay. Kelly, Wes mentioned the Olympics. Los Angeles is going to host here not too far down the road. Has that entered your mind?
Oh man, it's always in your mind, right? Like as a little kid, you grew up watching these like heroes on TV, right? So, I mean, it's amazing to think that, it's a really big compliment that Wes thinks that I have that kind of potential. But here, honestly, it's been amazing for me to even just develop like as a person through triathlon in the short time that I've been exposed to it.
Okay. So take us through the first meet this year that you had as a member of the Arizona team. I'm sure there were some butterflies there, but what was the experience like that first time you went out and competed?
Oh my gosh, yeah, butterflies, butterflies. But also, I think it's really important, because kind of what our mindset is before we go into a race is that, like, you have the rest of the year to race for yourself. Like, we race for each other. And I think that's something that I never had in swimming, that I found in cross country that really motivated me, because you can do anything when you're doing it through other people. So I think that's really kind of what got me through it. Like, it gets hard, right? Like, I'm not the best biker yet. So I was like on the bike and I was like, trying like in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is not for me. This is for all of the rest of everyone else that's pushing me. And so I think, yeah, it's definitely very nerve-wracking, but it's comforting.
Okay. Well, then, the season's not quite over yet. I'll ask Wes about that because you're getting out of a big meet coming up here. But as the season progressed, I mean, did you feel more comfortable, or as you look back at each level of competition, take us through the season?
Yeah. So we had our first meet, which was just a dual meet against ASU, who are like the reigning national champions. So we were really, really psyched to get to go and race against them. But so the first meet was actually a little different than a traditional triathlon. It was split up into a swim. It was like a swim race and then a bike run race. So we didn't do as well, I would say, comparatively to our swim in the bike run, but we got third, fourth, right, in the relay.
Yeah.
And then we swept the swimming events, which was awesome. So it was really cool to be a part of that too, because that's something that I can really help with, And then our second race was at TCU, and it was our first draft legal NC2A triathlon, and that was awesome. It was really cool to just get exposed to the whole big start line, the heartbeat music, all of that kind of stuff. And then by our third race, which was regionals, it was a really encouraging experience. I felt really confident going, and it wasn't at that point. I wasn't super nervous about the little things. I was just really excited. I was more excited, which is when you start to realize, yeah, this is exciting.
Okay. So Wes, amazing in your first season now. Tell us about your team and the NCAA championships up in Tempe in November.
Yeah, it's been an incredible season. I think that I've made sure all the athletes knew this is a first year program, and the top priority and goal was to build a strong culture and environment where athletes can succeed for years to come. And so that was more important than anything else, more important than winning. I think if we set this up right, winning will be inevitable and kind of a byproduct of setting up the culture and the environment. And so knowing that, we went into each opportunity as a kind of a learning experience. I told them every race is like a classroom. We're here to learn a lot, because a lot of them are newer to the sport. I started recruiting in February, so is different than a lot of the other schools that recruited several years before the following season, the next season. And so, we have athletes like Kelly and some others that are fairly new to the sport, and it's so easy in triathlon to make little mistakes that change, so much of your race. One little 1 second mistake can change 3-4 minutes of your race, because you lose a bike pack, and then that bike pack moves so much faster. So every race we're making a lot of little mistakes like that, but I've looked at each race like a big success, because we've learned and they've applied it into their training, applied it into their daily skill work and into the next race, and we're not seeing them repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And to me, that's a success. And so we don't have some of the depth and the numbers that a lot of the other teams have yet. We've got some just insane talent, potential, and some good top talent as well that is getting top 10 results. We just don't have quite the numbers to get the points we need to be winning quite yet. But it's starting everything I could have hoped. It's starting perfectly. So it's just an amazing group of athletes, group of people, more importantly, that I really enjoy being around and enjoy having them, at training every single day. I look forward to every session with this group. And so it's just so much fun. I'm just having a blast, and we're going into nationals. If everybody reaches their absolute potential where they could be on the day, yeah, we could have, 4 in the top 10. And that's, and if our fifth spot is in the top 20, that potentially is even winning the national championship in first year. Most likely that isn't reality because triathlon, lots of things happen, you know. But it is possible that we could have just an absolutely amazing race at nationals. But it always just comes back to the priority is learning, growing, and building the right culture and people on this team. But we've got some like exciting recruits coming this weekend, 3 who are all, you know, top 5 in the world. So there's exciting things like that happening, and there's a lot of really, really good athletes wanting to come here who are best in the world. And so I think we've done something right, you know, sit with the current squad we have by getting this kind of talent wanting to come here.
Kelly, what's the reception been like with your fellow athletes since you've been on cross country, you've been with the swim team, and now your triathlon and the community, and now, what's this first season been like with your friends and everyone you brought into?
I mean, honestly, a whirlwind, and it's been amazing. Everyone on every single team has been so welcoming and understanding of just kind of like the craziness that we're trying to accomplish, but also like big props to the coach and staff, like Wes, allowing us to like go and, you know, train with cross country, which makes us, you know, 100% better than just like us running by ourselves, right? And Coach Legat has also been amazing, just letting us hop in whenever, and Coach Augie has also been very, very understanding. Swim season hasn't really started off quite yet, but yeah. And then also I have roommates that are so understanding of me getting home at like 8 o'clock and like falling down face first in my bed and being like, guys, I can't tonight. Like, I can't eat dinner with you tonight or anything like that. And so also my parents, like I call them, I'm like, guys, I'm so tired, but I'm having like time in my life, and like, good, make sure you take care of yourself. So just everyone, there's like a whole army behind just the 10 of us.
Absolutely. Wes, why is Tucson now, and why it can be a hotbed for triathlon?
Yeah, I've always known Tucson is a hotbed. I before I took this job and even ever thought I would coach an NCAA, I had been coming here for years in the winters for training camps with professional squads of athletes. And so I've always just loved Tucson. I'd never had experienced a summer here, but I experienced lots of winters, and just loved it. The cycling is world class. It's hard to find better. You know, you got running trails everywhere. You got bike loops getting you anywhere you want to be, you know, safely. You know, and then the facilities and everything we have here from the aquatic center is just absolutely incredible. We have our own training room and training center now, you know, with strength training here, our athletic training, like everything the university has to offer, but also Tucson has to offer, just makes this one of the best environments in the world. You know, I've worked through a lot of Olympic training centers, and I say everything we have here rivals, is maybe even better than the Olympic training center. Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible. I've been blown away, and I've spent a lot of years in Olympic training centers, living in them, and so as my assistant coach lived in them. And yeah, you can't beat here. You just can't beat it.
Well, congratulations on an incredible first season, and it's not over yet. And so we wish you best of luck, and looking forward to next year. And you talked about the growth of the program, and Kelly, gosh, what a way to get this thing started. And it looks like you're just on the ground floor now of what could be a great career. Congratulations. All right. Wes Johnson, he's the head coach. Kelly Lynn Whitland, one of the star athletes, Arizona Triathlon. Thanks for joining us on this special edition of the Bear Down Podcast.